Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Today I'm doing another marinade or preserving mushrooms. So a friend of mine gave me this recipe a long time ago and we just love it. We'll have it on salads, on some cold meats and things like that. You can have it as a side dish for an antipasto, for example. But it's really, really tasty. It's just button mushrooms or whatever mushrooms you like, sliced up, cooked in vinegar, and then you drain the vinegar and store it in oil, pack it in oil. So the ingredients that we have for this is just some button or cup mushrooms. I've got a couple of bags, white vinegar, some chili flakes. Now I didn't grow any chili this year, so I've got to use the dried chili flakes, but if you have some nice homegrown ones or fresh ones, they'd be even better. A few cloves of garlic, so I'm going to chop up about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, and I've been out and picked some basil, so some fresh basil. If you don't have fresh, dried is fine as well. So I'll pick off all the basil, chop that up, chop up the garlic and chop up my mushrooms. So with the mushrooms, all I need to do is just slice them thinly. While you're chopping up your mushrooms, you can get your vinegar boiling. So let me turn this on. So just grab some white vinegar. It doesn't matter how much, as long as you've got enough to cover your produce. So I've probably used, what's that, 2 litres? I've probably used about 1 litre. So pour the vinegar in there, bring that to the boil and just continue to cut up your mushrooms until that's boiled. Okay, that's it for my mushrooms and my basil and garlic, and I'm just waiting for the vinegar to come to the boil. Okay, so my vinegar's just coming to the boil now, and because I've got quite a lot of mushrooms in a small pot, I'm going to do this in a couple of batches. So what I want to do is just put in half of the garlic and half of the basil. And then I'll put in half of the mushrooms. Probably could have gone with a bigger pot, but not all of my pots will work on this little stove, so I've had to improvise. So you can see the mushrooms and the basil and garlic are withering away nicely, so there's really plenty of room in the pan. So we want to bring this to the boil and let it simmer for a few minutes until the mushrooms have wilted. So these mushrooms have been simmering for about 5 minutes, and all I'm going to do now is transfer it into another bowl. So I'm going to strain the juice off into a colander. Just let that sit. And then what I'm going to do is transfer this mushroom juice, mushroom and vinegar, back into the pan and do the rest of the mushrooms. And be careful, it is hot. So I'll pop in the rest of the basil and the garlic. And the mushrooms. and we'll let the next lot simmer. And pour the rest of the juice in there as well. Now we don't want to throw this juice away. It actually becomes a really nice salad dressing. So if you want to have a mushroom flavoured salad dressing, you'll have your vinegar, your mushroom flavours in there, the basil and garlic, and some olive oil, some mustard seeds. It makes a really nice dressing. And if you grab a hot sterilised jar, then you can transfer all the ingredients into this jar. Pack the mushrooms down, and I'll just wait until the other ones are finished. So I finished the second batch, and I did forget to mention that I like to put chili flakes in there. So I have actually put the chili flakes in the mixture with the vinegar when I was cooking that. And I'm just about to transfer the second batch into the jar. And then we'll top it with olive oil. So this is the sum of 2 bags of mushrooms. It doesn't go very far, it doesn't look like it goes very far, but once it's soaked in oil and you take it out, you'll really only use a little bit at a time anyway, so it does last a little while. Once it's open, I'll actually store it in the fridge, even though it's in the oil, and it sometimes goes a little bit hard. But olive oil, so I've packed that down well, and all I want to do is fill the jar up with olive oil. Make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom. Jar's quite hot. So the vinegar in here will give these mushrooms a really nice tangy taste, and the olive oil just smooths it out. It's just beautiful. So just make sure the jar's full of oil and that there's no air in there, and then we can put a lid on. I've just mixed that through. I've made sure all the mushroom is covered with the oil, and I'm going to leave that sit for a few days. I'll cool it down before I put it in a cupboard. I'll leave it sit for a few days just to infuse all the flavours, and then I'll be able to eat it. Can't wait. If there are any other things you'd like to see me make in the kitchen, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Catch you next time.